Okay, you just don't get up.
All right, so we're back working on the Korina Les Paul guitar, single cut type guy. So today, figured we just kind of start going down the checklist that we made last time. And just keep going. So I wanted to get the hardware that I'm going to use for this together. So I found the studs and the inserts for the studs that I want. They were in another sort of body that was a project body that I was working on a few months or a year ago. So I have to remove the inserts to get to use them again. So I figured I got one out already. I'll show you how I take out. That's a little loud. Let me turn down the Carmen a little bit. All right, so this is sort of how you would remove an insert. So this is the guitar. Let me get this a little bit more out of the way. This is the guitar that the inserts were in. So pretty much the way that you do it. Now you could use a bolt with a hex head on it for what I'm about to show you. That'd probably be a little easier. But this is sort of what I got lying around, so I'm going to go ahead and use that. So you take the stud, in the post. All right, now I've got a piece of Baltic birch, which is like a paint stick. Got a 1/2-inch hole cut in it, drilled through it. You kind of line that up with, I can't believe how many commercials. This ridiculous YouTube thing. I'm just listening to YouTube right now. It's like they just want you to listen to their ridiculous commercials. All right, anyway, we'll just leave that off. So your 1/2-inch hole, you line it up with the stud. Got a washer that's big enough for the threaded section to go through, but small enough so that the shoulders of the part that is exposed stays there. And then you just basically thread it in like so, and then grab yourself a screwdriver and then just start cranking on it. Right? And it's a little bit tough at times. In the very beginning, it'll be a little bit stiff because it has the maximum amount of insertion. But it gets easier as you go along. Kind of putting downward pressure on the, hopefully not knocking things all over the place, but putting downward pressure on the screwdriver so it doesn't slip while you're unscrewing, It's starting to get loose now and getting easier. And you just keep turning it. Gets easier and easier. Now it's pretty easy. Okay. So now you've gone about as far as you can go with this piece of 1/2-inch birch. Right, so we can only pull it out a 1/2 inch, and the stud's longer than that. So now you would go to a thicker piece. Got some 3/4 MDF. Put it over the top. Thread her in. There we go. And then just finish the job. There we go. And out she comes. So that's useful for pulling studs out. All right, so that's good. Get the wood pieces out of the way. Get the screwdriver out of here. Okay, we got some stuff here. Now I figure it's time to see if the bridge is in the right place. I think it is. I mean, I usually, go through all that stuff and do it. So I would think that it's in the right place, but it's best to check, You never know how wacky your 20 years ago or 10 years ago, however long. Yeah, that's good. Cut the tape at an angle. Okay, here we go. So I'm just going to take a piece of mask and put it in 2 places here. Okay. Now I'm going to find the center of this neck, how it relates to the body, so that the strings will line up perfectly bass to treble side. So doing that, I just take a straight edge here, right? And I line it up along the edge of the fretboard from the nut down. Get that lined up nice. Get my mechanical pencil ready. And then what I'm going to do is I'm just going to trace this line here. Okay. Then we double check it, make sure that that's in the right place. Yep. Then we'll go to the other side and repeat the process. All right, so there is our extended fretboard sort of dimension there. So then you can go ahead and find the center. Now for the center, basically it's easy just to use a ruler like this and then sort of guesstimate where the center is and then place the 3 of the 3 inches right about where you think the center is, and then move it left to right until what's on either side of the 2 and the 4 is the same. So I'd say like right around somewhere around there. So it looks like in this case, that looks just about perfect. So that's what, 5/16. Right. No, not 5/32 rather. On either side of the 4 and the 2. Yep, so that's right. So we can mark it here. And then we can come up here and do the same. They're going to be very close. But, you know, it is an angle, so they're going to be a little bit closer together than before. I should have better light in here, and the phone where I have it to do the filming is a little bit in the way. So we'll go 1 under, 2 under. So that's on 2 under, and that's on 2 under. So right about there is that center line. So now I could go ahead and connect the dots, so to speak. All right, so there is our center line. Now I can determine whether these posts are centered in such a way as to make it in a good place. So I'll go to the outside of each post. That's right at about 1/4. Looks right to me. Then we'll go here. We'll do a little tilt on it. So that is just about 1/2 to the edge. Yeah, those posts are in the right place. So, you know, when you would first not drill any holes, right, you would kind of just mark out what the distance is between your stud holes on your tailpiece, right? So you would have a distance, a known distance between the center points of where these tailpiece holes would be, and that would be available online from the manufacturer, like in this case, Godo. If you went online and looked at the Godo website and the technical specifications for the tailpiece, it'll give you the measurements, and then you can use your ruler off the center line. You would divide that in 2 and, you know, move equidistant from either side that dimension, and then you would mark for drilling your posts. So that was done already, so that's good. Now, in terms of intonating the guitar, making sure the bridge is in the right place relative to distance from the nut, there are a couple of ways of doing that. One way would be, if you've never built the guitar before, or never, you haven't used the templates that you're using to make the guitar to determine whether everything is set up right. What you would do is you would kind of put the bridge down, all right, and you would have, let me show you. In this bag, I think these are the ones. Yes. Okay. Yes, these are the ones. All right, so you have some larger bushing posts. Now on these, and this was showed to me by Jack Briggs, who builds guitars here in North Carolina, who's a really good, experienced luthier who makes a lot of very exotic kind of guitars out of some really interesting and very desirable woods. And he showed me this as being like a kind of really quick way of getting everything going. So what you would do is you take your posts, your normal threaded posts for an ABR, and you would put it on a drill press. Let me see if I can show you that. And you would sharpen one end. Okay, so that end has a little point on it. And then what you would do is you would thread it on, okay, till it's not sticking out, right? So it's smooth here now. And then put a second one on top. That's going to go up on top of this, right? Like so. And this one's actually bigger, so it doesn't really interfere with anything. And then you can back out the threads and you would put this down, right? And then you would do the same thing again to another one that's set up the same way. Yep, here's the other one that has the little sharpened edge end on it. Thread that through. So again, you don't want the pokey part sticking out right away, right? You want that kind of underneath there so you don't feel it. And you'd put it in an area. Then you take your bridge and you would kind of do this. All right. There we go. So what you would do is, the first is you would measure out where your tailpiece would go. You would drill the tailpiece, you would insert the studs, and you would place this in its position on the hardware, right? So it's permanently affixed in the way it would appear on the guitar. You would then have this piece where you could move it around, all right? And you would string up the guitar, and then when you would kind of try to move this bridge to get the strings to intonate. And wherever they've turned out to be, where they gave proper intonation for the high E and the low E, you would leave it like that, and then you would go ahead and screw down these posts right here with the sharp edge and give it a little tap on either side, and that would give you the exact location of where you would want the bridge to be. So I hope that makes sense. So it's put on your tailpiece, string up the guitar, put this bridge under the strings, right? So that the strings are sitting in those saddles, and then try to intonate the guitar by moving this back and forth on these little glides that you've made out of the thumb wheel posts. And then when you've got it in the right place, twist these down till the point at the bottom protrudes, right? Because we've sharpened that thread up a little bit, and just give it a little tap with a little hammer or something. And then it will give you 2 indentations as to where those posts should be drilled. So I'm pretty sure I already did this because, the guitar has been gotten to that point. So I had to have used this method, and it usually provides a pretty good way of doing things. So the other possibility that I did was measure it off of another guitar that I built that used these same exact templates, right? So I build these off of templates that I made so that where the neck is, in relation to the body is exactly the same. And then I make my fretboards with a gauge, it's a StewMac gauge that you use on a table saw to slot your fretboards. so you know that the scale length is the same every time. So the distance between the nut and the tailpiece should be the same for every guitar that you use that template scale. So what I could do to double check that as well is to just grab another guitar that I built off of the same templates, and we can give a quick measure from post to the edge of the nut on either side and make sure it's the same. So let me grab the guitar. It's over here, and then we can do the measurements. So I'll put this down. Let me move the Korina Limba guitar out of the way. Place it over here in the corner, nice and gently. And then we have this Les Paulina, and we can go ahead and measure from here to the nut. So I'm just going to use my straight edge here. I'm going to put a little piece of tape on the straight edge here so I can mark where it is. So I'm going to cut a little piece of tape here. All right, and then let's see, we can do this way from here to here. So somewhere right around here is good. I'm just going to fold that over. All right, where's my mechanical pencil? I'll use my pen for this because it's easier to see. So I'll use my pen here. So I'm just kind of putting this end up against the nut, right by the E string. And I'm going to mark where the center point is on this one. So this is low. And then I'm going to go over the other side of the fretboard. Again, place it up against the nut. Right, make sure that's there. Get it up here. And this one here is high. All right. So that'll give us an idea of what to do. Put this guitar aside. I had to put that back in its home, which is actually in the hallway. I kind of use the guitars as artwork in the house because they kind of are like artwork in a way. All right, so there we go. Now we'll take this guitar and we will determine if everything is in the right place. Get it up against there. That's right on the money. And this one from this side, that's right on the money. So we know this guitar is going to intonate correctly. So in terms of drilling the tail pieces, we know they're good. So no real reason to, have to plug and re-drill or anything like that. I didn't think there would be, but, you never know. It's always good to check and know that you're right as opposed to kind of guessing. So let's go to the thing. So we have... well, we're not evaluating the neck just yet. Relocate hardware, we got that. Installing the ground wire, okay. So we're not going to do everything today, obviously. So we just kind of are biding our time. The weather is starting to get nice outside, so I kind of feel like going out a little bit today. It's been pretty bad here for a while, so might be nice to be outside a little bit. All right, so now to drill this hole, the way that I would do that is you kind of got to go from the tailpiece stud insert into the control cavity, which would be right over this potentiometer, kind of is how it works out. So how do you do that, right? Because you don't want to screw up your guitar. I mean, basically I would use this too to protect the wood of itself. So I would take some tape and I'm going to grab some double stick tape and tape this down, and then we can use the drill at an angle to come in and just drill straight through the sidewall of this and into the cavity over here. So let me get the double stick tape and the drill, and then we'll do that. All right, so I'll be right back. All right, so back with the tape. Using this, it's basically grip tape for golf clubs, but it's double-sided sticky tape. So I'm just going to place it. Well, first thing I want to do is I want to locate a starter hole with the pokey tool, right, which is just a scribe. So what I want to do is get it fairly close to the surface, but not too close, and at an angle that it will reach the cavity without doing one of two very bad things, which would be to bottom out, or rather come out of the top of the guitar, which would be really bad, or go down through the bottom. So we don't want either one of those to happen. So somewhere around here I think is good. And I'm just kind of starting it like that, giving the drill bit somewhere, some purchase to get onto. Now I'm going to take the piece of double stick, just going to put it down here, and then we're going to take the piece of tape off. All right, and then I'm going to cut out the section that has the hole in it. I keep worrying about getting my head into the camera, so it's a little hard to work with the camera over your project piece. Kind of a little bit nutty. All right, so we got that done. And then we're going to take our little washer here, because it's convenient, and place it here, and then get it stuck down. And that'll, you know, guard against having the drill bit kind of screw everything up. So I'm kind of torn about whether to use this little bit first or use this big bit. I think the little bit should be long enough to get into the cavity here without any problems. So it's a, you know, whatever, a 3/16 bit. So basically you just kind of want to get it started and then just start drilling, right? And that metal washer kind of, there we go, right through. All right, we're done. So now we have our ground wire hole ready to go. So now we can take off our washer. This is probably going to be easier said than done. And my hands are kind of all goofy from there we go. Okay. So that's good to do. So you can see now that there's a hole. I'll just use the drill bit to show you that goes from here. And if you look in the cavity, wait one second, I gotta put it through a little bit further so you can see. Okay, so now you can see on the reverse side, it's coming out right here, which is right on top of the volume pot for the bridge pickup, which is exactly where it should be. So that's good. So that's in a nice place. So now I'll remove this bit. And basically you're going to put some bus wire through this before you press in your stud. Right, so your stud will get pressed in here. And the bus wire will be trapped between the wall of the hole and the insert. And that'll make your ground connection for your strings to potentiometer. All right, so that's done. All right, so let's get this stuff out of the way. Into the garbage. Put away the washer. We may need that for something, who knows. I mean, a lot of guitar making too is sort of like jig making and idea kind of generating and manufacturing stuff on the fly and working with what you have around. So, you know, I've never had like a specific tool for pulling studs. It was always like, when I need to pull a stud, I'll find a scrap piece of wood and drill a hole through it and I'll be done. So, you know, or I need to drill a hole here and I don't want to, you know, risk chewing out the edges of this guitar on the hole and, you know, ruining the look of it. So, you know, oh, I've got a washer I can use. Or you might use, you know, a ruler and tape the ruler down here. So it's always kind of making do with what's around, being, you know, using a little ingenuity and figuring out what's going to work. All right, so we got that done. Let's go back to this. All right, so neck evaluation. I know what I wanted to see. I wanted to see if the height of the bridge was going to work. So let's take out the bridge one more time. And we will take off one of these thumb wheels, and we'll just kind of just get it started. All right. All right, so that's where our bridge is going. Now we can lose the saddle. The saddle's in the bag here. I gotta have like a little corral so I know what's on camera and what isn't. So I don't end up working off the camera all the time. All right, so we put the saddle back in. The retaining retaining wire isn't on this thing because I don't really like those anyway. All right, so now I'm gonna just kind of get this guy on there. There we go. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to see what the relationship is between the neck and the bridge at its angle. So I'm going to use my straight edge here, and I'm going to get down on one knee and pray. It should be fine though. I mean, there could be a bow in the neck that could affect things. So let's look at that first. So right now I'm kind of looking to see if there's any kind of rock. There's nothing there. This neck is as straight as an arrow still. I mean, it is dead level. Absolutely dead nuts on. There's not any light underneath that fretboard. So I don't know if this is going to need much of a fret job other than a polish. All right, so now let's see when we come up to here, the bottom of this fretboard is going to sort of show you where the string height will be. And you add, you know, whatever your action is, you know, a few thousandths of an inch up from there. So right now we're looking like the bridge would sit about like this, which is perfect in my mind. It looks like we have about 3/8. Yeah, something like that, about 3/8 of an inch up off. The bridge will be about 3/8 of an inch off the deck, which is nice. So it's not sitting down too flat. It's going to be able to give you some range of motion. And it'll have, you know, the right look when you're looking down on it, that the bridge will be a little bit off the deck, right? So I'll show you, let me turn it sideways. So that's dead flat. What I saw was the bridge is going to be about that high. Let's see. Probably like that. Maybe a little less, actually. Let's show you. So we put the straight edge back on there, right? So we could sort of drop this side down a little bit. So yeah, it'll probably look something like that when all said and done. So it looks like this guitar is going to set up well. So we've got that done. All right, so let's take these posts off. And another thing that I like to do with these guitars, with these kinds of bridges, which is, I don't know where I heard it from. It might have been from Greg Platzer, maybe? I don't know. Could have been. So Greg Platzer is another guy. He's at BCR Music outside of Philadelphia in Pennsylvania. And he specializes in like extreme restoration and repair of broken instruments like Gibson. So if you snap your headstock off your Gibson, Greg Platzer is the guy that you want to send your guitar to, because he'll kind of get it all going for you. And he actually says that the guitar sounds better after you break the headstock off of it. So I was like, if I just break the headstock off my guitar, will you fix it for me? And then we can see if that's true or not. And he said, absolutely. And then I chickened out. So anyway, so what I'd like to do is use stainless steel hardware with a, a head on it. And then I can use it like a Tone Pros. So I'll bring it down this way, and I'll set the stud, or rather the thumb wheel, to the desired depth, right? Which sits sort of like this. And then you just basically tighten this down from the top, and then this bridge ain't moving anywhere. And also too, when you're restringing it, it's not going to fall off. It just makes life a whole lot easier. It looks kind of cool. I don't think it looks bad to have that on there, So other people may differ, but I kind of like the look of it. You can get like a pan head, like, so it's a little flatter. This has a little bit of a chamfer to it, so you can get different types of hardware to make it look really cool. And stainless looks nice. It kind of looks like nickel in a way. It has that sort of softer sheen to it, in my opinion. All right, so let's look at this sheet again. How are we doing on time? All right, we got to start thinking about wrapping things up soon. All right, so tuners are next. All right, so let's look at the tuner situation on the guitar. All right, I'll turn it around. Got the paint tray. Let's see. Take out our tuners, our machine heads. And we're using, again, these aged nickel Clusons 15:1 tuning ratio, gear ratio, which are nice, that they have a nice adjustment to them. They have a good look as well. So first what we want to do basically is take out the bushings, right? Because this is the first part of the tuner install, is to fling the bushing across the fucking room and lose it. All right, so that's how it's going to be. I see now. These are shallers, they're Godos. Okay, I was going to say if they were shallers, it's like the Germans are messing with me again. All right, so these you press in. They have a little sort of like rib sort of texture to them that help them stay in place. Interestingly enough, these appear to be too small. I know I have a lot more of these lying around. So this must have been done for Tone Pros. So Tone Pros made a set of Clusons that I really liked before, and that they had these like lemony yellow kind of plastic heads on them. So let me get out some more of these bushings and see what we have. So let's look in the closet and get out our hardware box. Put this that way. Pink drink aside. All right. All right. Here are some of the Tone Pro Clusons. Might be something in here we can use. Just go and look and see what I got first before I raid everything. There's a bunch in here I know already, but I want to see what else there is. All right, we got some in here. These were the tuners from another guitar that got changed out to Grovers. We could even just use these if we wanted to. I think these are Godos as well, and they're aged. So let me just look at these. Yeah, these aren't terrible. They're a little green. But here are the, all right, let's see how these work. No, these are, is that the same one I just put in? Okay, so these ones are not the right bushings either. I have to go grab that off the floor. I wonder what tuners I was going to put on this. Let me look at them. Look at this for a second here. Is it possible? You know what? I don't see a step in there. Is there a step? These might be. I might have wanted to put, wouldn't that be funny? Grovers on it. That's very possible. The idea was to put a set of Grovers on here to give it a little bit of a look that way. But there's still more hardware in here to look at, so hang on. Right, so we know. Let's look through the bushing section of the box. All right, so put these away. I got a bunch of bushings here. We got like giant bushings. We got these bushings here, these bushings here. We got these bushings here. So I got a lot of bushings here. So we can definitely find something that is the right, because these all come in different sizes, depending upon what company they can be from. They're not always the same. And here's a set. Are these 3 and 3s or are these 6 in lines? It's a set of Grovers here. Sort of like starting all over again. These look like locking, so these are probably 6 in line. It's that way, that way. And these are 6 in line, so we don't need those. What's in here? Is that what we just looked at? Let's look at these two. All right, let's close this up. Oh, put away these keystones. All right, let's look at what we got. So these are the bushings for that. Let's look at what's in here. Nope. I have a feeling this is for Grovers. Yeah. So that's interesting. We looked at these, right? Let's look at these here. Nope. Yeah, I think these are Grovers. Grovered. So I do have Grover adapters for when you want to go back from Grovers in time back to Clousons. So let's see what those are like. All right, so these are adapter bushings when you go to Grovers and you want to go back. Otherwise, we're going to have to get ourselves a set of Grover nickelers. Nope, that's way too big. Let me look at the 10mm bushing and see what we got. So this is like a 10mm bushing. Nope. It's curious. It's a very curious case. What was going to go on with this? Look, just out of curiosity at these fenders. I mean, they're obviously not the right keys, but they're bushings. Will give us another idea. Dum 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 dum. It's got some gunk on it. These look like the right ones. Yeah, I think they are. All right, so we're going to have to order another set of bushings that are a little larger. I'm going to get my, I have to measure this. See, these are the things that happen too when you're picking up a project from 15 years ago, probably at least 10 years ago or more. Let me grab a set of gauges and or a set of bits, and I'll be right back. All right, so we've got a couple of things to look at. So we're going to determine what size hole this is, first of all. So I got a 10 millimeter bit here. It's kind of a weird way of doing it. It's not that. So that's a good sign. So these are sort of reamers that are used to drill tuner heads, especially. So I'll show you how it works. Basically, you start with a 1/4 inch hole, and then you kind of chase it out with this guy. If I could open it and show you what's in there. Okay. So this is sort of what it looks like. You got a little 1/4 inch guide piece there, and then blades on either side. And you would drill your 1/4 inch hole, which would be the right sort of diameter for the post of a cloisonne. And then you would come through the other side and widen it to the dimension of the diameter of the press and bushing. So I want to see what I used. All right, so this is stepped. I can feel the step. It might be that one. 340, it's a little undersized. So let me see what we got here. 360, 348. It's probably this one. 8 thousandths over the last one. Yep, that's it. Okay, so we know what this is. All right, so it was stepped for bushings. Now, what bushings, what manufacturer's bushings was I using, or is that the right for these these Grovers that are in this box right here? So let's say that was what, 348. So 348. It's a little over 1170 seconds, or rather 1130 seconds rather. Okay. So we can just write this here, 348. So that way we know what they are. Now in here we have a set of Grovers that were on some guitar at one point. And they are not, they're actually Gibsons. Wow, Gibson Grovers. And looks like whoever had them spray painted the guitar with the tuners on. Yeah, that's a good idea. It's a budget job. It's like Earl Scheib, but for guitars. We're going to take your guitar and we're just going to tape off the hardware and we're going to spray paint it fucking fuchsia. And it's probably like a 1971 custom. So in your butt with a coconut. So that ain't it either. So these do not go. All right, thank God for that, because these are just, they would need to be cleaned too. But these are cool tuners right here. I mean, these are old school Grovers from back in the 70s. All right, so we'll put these away. All right, so we need to make another punch list. Let me get these guys back in here. These here. Put these aside. We'll bring those back down. So we need to buy some stuff. So we're going to need some bushings. for a 0.348 ream. Okay, we got that. I think we're good with this still. No problem there. Good with that. We're good with the inserts. We got that stuff going. All right, so we need some rings. I didn't like the rings that I had. So if we're going to get bushings, we're going to be buying something from a store. So isn't from a supply place. So there's probably no point in not getting some pickup rings. Pup rings, M69 style. They don't have to be the $200 a piece rings. I think some all parts rings or something like that will do just fine. Or some, you know, Quasimodo rings, whoever's making a ring that's not too ridiculous. Gibson spec. We're going to need a tall and a short. Okay, so let's go down the list and see what else we can look at. Fretwork, breakdown and finish. I don't think there's much to do today beyond where we're at. So got a high fret there. Got a couple of high ones. That doesn't surprise me too much for how long it's been sitting. But we do have a couple of high ones. That's all good. That's good. That's good. Yeah, right here, there's a couple of high ones. So that's good because I usually like to take this area down quite a bit in relative height to this area. Because up here, it's like that's where you get a lot of, you know, string noise, and you're not playing these areas up on a Les Paul especially. I mean, you're not, no one's playing your low E up here. I mean, that's kind of retarded, right? So all of this is pretty much, you know, from here to here is pretty much no man's land, right? All this fretwork could just disappear. So that can be ground away in a sense. And then as you get up further, you know, the intonation is more related to bend and finger pressure anyway, I think. So I want to flatten this area out quite a bit. So that'll work out nice. So we can do some fretwork on it as well. Now, someone, I think it was Buzzed, was asking to do hot dog ends, but as you can see, this has the nibs. So there's no hot dog ends on a guitar that has nibs. Sorry to say, but you know, c'est la vie, such is life. All right, so we got that to do. So we're going to have to wait to string it up. So that's okay. I also, so I got this stuff too, which is some filler. It's flammable, which means I'm going to like it. So this is a wood filler, a grain filler. I haven't seen what it looks like, but it's pine is the description of it. So I'm assuming it's quite light. If it's at all anything other than like a yellow, I don't want to use it. If it's anything other than the yellow, I think I might just go with filling the grain with like a high solids conversion varnish, which is really like a really thick sanding sealer, something like a Fuller Plast, and just put it on and then sand it smooth, and that'll act as, you know, also the sanding sealer. So that's what might happen. But let's just take a look at what color this crapola is. It's probably going to look like brown poo because it's been sitting around for a while. But we can see what's in there. It's also hard as a rock. That solves that problem. It will be catalyzed varnish. What a waste. It's a shame it dried up in the can, but that can's probably 10 years old too. All right, so I think that's it for today. We didn't get a whole lot done. We got a couple of things done, but this is guitar building. It's a whole lot of God damn it, I can't do anymore. I'm stuck. I'm stopped. I need to do something. Most of guitar building is figuring out problems, running to get parts, different bits, router bits, drill bits, sanding paper. I need this tool. I need that tool. I got to figure out a way to do this. I need to go get a different tool for that. So I need to order a different part because this part doesn't work. So that's a lot of guitar building. So you're seeing it. All right. So I think that's good for today. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.